Welcome to End Zone Online. I'm George Ayoub with my friend Bobby Mills, the 1,000-yard guy. We are in week 2 of high school football. We're going to talk a little bit about the results from what they call 0 week and some upcoming games. And so you attended Columbus Lakeview Norfolk Catholic on Thursday.
Right, a monumental C1 battle.
And Norfolk wins at 31-27.
Right.
Impressions from that game?
Kind of felt sorry for Lakeview a little bit, but, Norfolk Catholic made adjustments and finally figured out toward the end of the game that Jackson Love needed the ball. So they fed Jackson Love the ball, and of course he had the winning run of 54 yards, which turned the tide. But what a great battle. Lakeview is going to be good down the line. But I'm impressed with Norfolk Catholic. They had to plug in a bunch of new players, but that's just the way they are.
Terrific game out of the chute. And then York beats Norris, the preseason ranked number 1,
right.
35-9, I believe was the final.
And it's just tough, George, when you don't have your quarterback. Mm-hmm. Jackson Reitz is in Taiwan. But York is a very good football team, very physical, and Glenn Snodgrass went to that passing game because they knew the middle was awful tough to get through running. So York is a very good football team.
And their last 3 games, going back to last year, they've beaten the number 1 and the number 2 teams out of those 3 games.
Right.
So Scotts Bluff at the end of the year last year,
They're for real, and they have a possibility of going a long way.
Yeah, they'll be a good team. Local teams, Grand Island Senior High got off to a terrific start. Put a beat down on the Rockets in Lincoln, 54-14. Jeff Tomlin's offense really clicking.
Wasn't that great? And, everything happened just right for Grand Island. They made things happen on defense, and what a performance. Wadalevich and wow.
Yeah, Wadalevich and Pierce Allman.
Yeah.
The 2 quarterbacks going into camp, and Wadalevich moves to split end and, catches touchdown passes and plays, he's a team guy, and Coach Tomlin talked about that in the paper. So a great start for the Islanders. And then our friends out at on North Road, the Northwest Vikings, go out to Sydney and run into a buzzsaw out there. 44-22. They're on the short end of that one.
I think so, but I think people have to realize that maybe Northwest lost a lot of good seniors last year, and Sydney, for the first time in many, many years, has a pretty good football team and a great running team, and they're actually favored to win that district out there with Scottsbluff Alliance Gearing. But they between 2 running backs, they had 508 yards. So they really put a beating on Northwest. Yeah,
and Coach Stein at Northwest talked about early before the season started. Told me about looking for chemistry, looking for kids to step up. That's a work in progress there, and I have no doubt they will.
You bet.
So we'll see how they do this week. We're going to talk about some upcoming games. The Islanders are at home. They open at home. Their home games with Lincoln Southwest. Surprise winners over Lincoln North Star.
Right.
One of the classier teams in the capital city, 15-13. So the Islanders better strap it on and be ready to play football.
That should be a physical game, and North Star was without Austin Rose. He has a pretty bad ankle injury, and then another 2-year starter in the line was gone. In fact, he was still in the hospital at the end of the week. So North Star was without a couple of very key players, but still, Mark King always fields a great team.
You have to be ready to play football. The Vikings take on Hastings down the road, and Hastings got thumped pretty good in the opener
By Seward,
40-7, I believe the score was. And so a week, you think that the Vikings can kind of turn things around and get going?
It's a good week. It's a good week to play Hastings.
Right.
It is.
That's good.
And I'm sure Hastings is saying it's a good week to play Northwest, but I like Kevin Stein, and this is a great week to start gelling, or the beginning of it.
That's good. And of course, the Central Catholic heads to Minden. Neither team has played this year, so they've had a couple weeks. They've had the extra week actually to prepare. So we'll see how the Crusaders fare on the road. What do you think of that matchup?
I think Minden spent last year, they lost the year before, they lost a great senior class. So last year was a rebuilding year, and Shannon Lovin switched over from basketball to coach football. His boy is the head coach. He's the quarterback. So Minden is much improved. They have a lot of starters returning, but so does Central Catholic. Remember the overtime game here last year. So that game should be a great football game. That'll be a great football game down in Minden. And then our friends over at Heartland Lutheran, they're going to start their season against Parkview Christian, who has a 64-24 win under their belt against Deschler. So,
that'll be a tough game for them, I think.
It will. Their line is huge, and they have a couple of a Pavlicka kid at quarterback, and Nate Davenport missed the entire year last year for Parkview, and he's back. Larry Frost is a coach.
Larry Frost from Wood River originally was a Husker, and of course
Right.
Scott Frost, who's now at Oregon, his father. So
It's a tough opener.
Yeah, and good football bloodlines there.
Yes.
So those are our 4 local games this week. We'll be broadcasting the Grand Island and Lincoln Southwest game this Friday night, brought to you by Tom Dinsdale Automotive. So we look forward to that, and your son, Rob Meesik's going to join me in the booth, and that'll be exciting.
Should be an
So it'll be
exciting
our
game.
first game at Memorial Stadium. We have the internet all hooked up there, so I hope that you fans can tune in and watch Grand Island Senior High and Lincoln Southwest. We'll be back in the second half of the show, talk about some key players and more upcoming games.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today I'm just an aluminum can, but one day I could be a stadium.
Welcome back to End Zone Online. George Ayoub with Bobby Mills. We are talking high school football, which we do every week. This week it's a Tuesday because we took the day off yesterday. Bobby didn't. He was in his house furiously doing statistics, I know.
All day.
So we are happy that you joined us. Want to talk about some big games this week. Boone Central and Pierce looks to be a real battle.
That's good. They both won their openers, and Boone Central plays Pierce this week. It's in Petersburg, I think, because they're just finishing
you're
their
right on
field
that.
in Albion. And then next week, Boone goes to Norfolk Catholic, so it's a tough stretch. But boy, what a great matchup! Mark Bramer against Arnie Johnson, from Boone, and that's just going to be a head knocker. Low-scoring game, I think.
Yeah, probably a lot of defense.
A lot of defense, and those are the top tier in Class C1.
Mm-hmm.
We saw 2 last week. Here's 2 more this week.
Right. I was going to say, it's interesting to see 4 of the probably 6 or 7 best teams in Class C1 going head-to-head right away.
Right away.
Right away.
That's a mirror image of what Class A is doing.
And of course, as everybody knows, wild card points start right away too.
They do.
And so you really can't take a week off.
No, you can't.
And so that'll be a terrific game. And then Giltner starts the defending state champions. They
Right.
start out.
And Bruning, Davenport, Shickley, we know them as BDS. Always Field's a good team. They lost some good seniors, but they have some good ones back. So it's going to be a good opener for Giltner, and of course they'll be prepared. And they don't have a game under the belt, but BDS does. So that should make a little bit of difference. Nonetheless, it'll be a great opener for Giltner.
Terrific. Starting next week, we will have our Player of the Week. Not everybody played on the 0 week, so we're going to wait till everybody plays. But once a week, we'll select an area and athlete who stood out, either on offense or defense. You don't have to be the running back to win this award. And we send out a really nice framed certificate to the young man who earns that honor. And Bobby is really instrumental in choosing who that is. And so if you don't agree, you can talk to Bobby about that.
And his phone number. No,
Yeah,
never mind.
that's right. So anyway, anything else for week 2, or actually week 1, I guess is what we call it, the second week of high school
I
football?
want to step back to week 0 for a moment. Did you happen to see the Fullerton and Humphrey St. Francis score? Fullerton beat St. Francis 46-22. How often have you seen St. Francis absorb
You have
a
to
loss?
say, I can't remember when they've absorbed a loss.
2007.
Let alone one like that.
Right. 2007, I think High Plains beat them 50-30. That's a long time ago. Nobody beat St. Fran's 46-22.
Right.
So they only had 1 kid coming back. I understand that. That is a big win. That
It's a big
that
win for
shook the
Fullerton.
earth.
Yeah, and that'll help them as they go forward. I also saw in the paper this morning a 46-game losing streak. Oh gosh,
Was it? Well, Ainsworth broke a 29-game losing streak.
Ainsworth broke the 20.
It?
No, this was a 6-man. It was Walt Hill.
Good. God bless him.
Yeah,
Boy.
46 games they had lost in a row, and now they're on the winning track.
That means a lot to those
1-0.
kids. Yeah, that's exactly
the season
right.
ended now, they'd be in the playoffs.
They are perfect.
All right, Bobby, thanks so much. Don't forget, we'll be on the air about 6:45 at theindependent.com. Tom Dinsdale Automotive is going to present high school sports, Grand Island Senior High versus Lincoln Southwest. We'll be back next week with another edition of End Zone Online. For Bobby Mills, I'm George Ayoub. Elisa Reitz behind the camera. Thanks for joining us on End Zone Online.